In studio, another guest. What is it? My birthday? We have had guest after guest after. It's not my birthday though, but we do
Happy
have
birthday.
but we do have Richard Szerman from Radius.
Yeah, thank you.
In the house, and he usually tells us, "I'd love to be able to not see you during the holidays, but that's not how that works."
Most of my family says the same thing.
So-
Thank you.
That's
Thank you. Always feel welcome in every room I go into. Thank you very much.
Not a problem. The reason I say that is because, the holidays, we're supposed to be happy and cheery, and we're supposed to be eating Christmas
Yeah.
cookies and stuff and eating turkeys. But the mortgage companies and the banks,
They get no Christmas cookies.
they did not get the
No.
memo
No.
to
No.
leave us alone.
Yeah, no, not even close, especially now because the economy is turning and yeah.
So
So-
what do we need to talk about today?
I have riveting stuff for you today.
Go.
I want to talk about mortgage accounting.
Okay,
You
Richard.
can almost hear listeners clicking away, can't you? You can hear this. I said mortgage accounting, and they went, "Oh, okay." And I'm following the theater people who are fantastic.
Right.
I'm gonna go see on Golden Pond now. I'm very excited about it. Anyway, what I wanted to show you is this comes up a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got a client, it's a house in Canyon Country, and she's got a zombie seconds. They didn't know it existed. She suddenly got a letter in the mail saying, "Give us, all your money or your house," basically, like
Now,
robbing a stagecoach.
I want to stop you just for a 2nd.
Mm-hmm.
Please explain to those who are just tuning in. They don't know Richard Szerman. They
Sure.
don't know any of this.
How could they not?
Facts, but exactly what is a zombie and why do we have them? What happened?
They've been around for quite some time. I've been fighting these things a good chunk of my career. They're complete and utter nonsense. They're a defunct financial idea in the mortgage industry. What it basically is you have a loan, it's usually a second mortgage or some sort of junior lien, not a first. And you thought it was wiped out, bankruptcy, loan mod, whatever. You thought it was gone. You've not heard a word from a mortgage company for 5, 10, 15, 20 years in some cases. I think 22 is our record. And then all of a sudden you get a letter in the mail that says, "Hey, you know that debt that your attorney told you was discharged? You got a letter in the mail from us saying that no further payments were necessary. It's been charged off." Yeah, about that, even though you got a letter from us that says it's been charged off, that doesn't mean what you think it means. And you haven't paid us, in this case, for the last about 11 years. And so not only do you owe us the money you originally owed us, but you also owe us all the interest that's compounded upon itself. So your $100,000 debt is now a $300,000 debt, and you can pay us in the next 90 days, 300 grand, or we're going to take your house. Oh, and we did sort of wait to tell you until you paid down the first enough and you had enough equity in the house that it was worth us going after you.
Why is this? I have so many questions, Richard. Not enough time in the day
Starting with, how is this legal?
Yes,
Because there
is
is no political will to change it. Last time I said that, I got into a little trouble because I said that. I'm not speaking ill of our politicians or any politicians. They're very busy people. This is just not an issue that affects them because they don't see this as an issue that will win them votes. And if it's not going to win them votes, they're not going to do it.
But how can it not? Because it sounds like it's becoming more and more common. Did this happen? Did the zombies happen? A lot of them during that the housing, what do you call it? The housing crash in 2006 or whatever.
They became more popular after 2008 and 9 and the crash as we call it. Because after that, you had a lot of seconds that just stayed dormant, waited, because they couldn't collect anyway because there was no equity.
Right.
And then as soon as people got equity, they came out of the woodwork. That's what they're doing now. Whenever you see a market that has gone up that starts to go down, and I've been on the air many times talking about the market taking a dive, which it's now doing. We've lost about 5% in the last 3 months. We're going to lose another 5 before the middle of the first quarter. We're going to lose 10 to 15% by the time we're done with housing values, depending on what the Fed does. But anyway, zombie seconds are just a way for somebody to buy a loan that the bank has said is not collectible and of no value. So they took a tax write-off. Mm-hmm. Then the bank turns around and sells that loan in the secondary market to ABC Financial or Fred Smith or whomever, and that person buys it for pennies on the dollar and then goes back to the homeowner and says, "Now I seek to enforce this debt for the full face value of the debt. So every dime I can claim that is owed, you now owe me, or I'm taking your house, and I'll get my money out of your house that way." It's an interesting financial game, but it takes people out of their homes and puts them in the street for no reason.
Now, and then this all happens when you take out a second.
When you take out a junior lien, maybe you got 100% financing in 2008. You got a first and a second mortgage, and you didn't realize that your second mortgage was not part of your first. I hear that all the time. Or you had a bankruptcy or a divorce or whatever, and you thought it was taken care of, and it's not. And so it sits there like a cancer on your title because it's on your title report. And then eventually it explodes and kills you. We call them zombie seconds because they come back to life to eat your equity. And it's funny, there have been national news stories lately over the last couple of weeks. People have been sending me like crazy. "Rich, did you see this story? It's about zombie seconds." Yeah, I know. Thank you. I'm aware. I mean, thank you for sending me the stories. I appreciate it. But I'm fascinated that CNN has finally discovered this exists,
right,
and that CBS has discovered this exists. But I've been in the last 2 weeks, I've gotten stories from Austin, Brooklyn, Florida, a couple of them Florida, a couple of more other parts of Texas. People sent me that national news is now picking up on this, which is very nice. But now if you'd stay engaged so we could actually do something about it, that'd be fantastic. I want to talk about this one file because our time is limited here, as it always is. Thank you. This is what I want to talk about.
Why don't you do a show here, by the way? I'm just asking.
Because you haven't invited me.
No, like a show of your own. You should
guys
do like
sit me
a show
down and
of
say,
your...
would you like to sit on the, would you like to be on the air? And I say yes. That's as far as it goes. If Carl calls me and says, would you like to do this? I will say yes. The only thing apparently, according to my wife and daughter, the only thing I like more than the sound of my own voice is my own voice being broadcast. So absolutely I would do this.
It's a win-win for Richard.
It's both good, I think good for people. It's fun for my ego. Now I want to show you this. This is a little accounting test. So first of all, there are three things a bank has to give you. They owe it to you. It is your information. They have to give you the note if you ask them for it. Mm-hmm. They have to give you the accounting from the day the account was started. And they have to give you any transfers. When they transferred from Bank A to Bank B to Bank C to Bank D. They have to give you those. Otherwise, the loan has got a problem. Now, so we always ask the banks for that. Now, this is a file I got about a month ago. They got a zombie second letter. You now owe us $323,000, $22,000. If you do not pay us, we're taking your house the next 90 days. But it's okay. We're going to do you a big favor. We're going to let you start making payments of about $1,300 a month at 7.5% interest for 3 years. Then it becomes 9% interest. Sorry about that. And you just sign here and start making payments. And please give us $72,000 up front. You don't have, I'm sorry, by the look on your face, Tori, you don't have $72,000 sitting in the bank to save your house from foreclosure if you had to? Wow. Well, it's too bad because you got, as it happens, about $300,000 in equity. Lucky for us, but bad for you. Oh, I'm sorry. Are you in your 80s and you're retiring and you need to use this money to get a reverse mortgage so you can eat? Oh, I'm sorry. We here at SLS don't care. We here at SLS, our job is to get the money for our investor, who, according to us, we don't really know who it is, but we think it's the Bank of New York Mellon. We're not really sure because we don't want to tell you who the investor is because you might actually contact them because what they're doing is scummy, horrible, and wrong. We're just the servicer here at Specialized Loan Servicing. We're not going to give you that information. So I asked Specialized Loan Servicing, as we always do, to please provide the accounting. And I'm going to hand you this piece of paper and you see if you can tell me what's missing because I'm pretty sure you know how a calendar works. Take a look at the far left side. See where it goes 2006, where it was started, 2007, 2008. See where it just skips a beat there for a minute?
It skips
it skips 11 years.
Yeah, a hot minute it skips. It goes from 2008 to 2019. So what's up with that?
The bank is saying, first, that there was they didn't make a payment then. I said, yeah, but they stopped making payments in 2007. Everything else you have payments for. Not only that, I see on your ledger here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different investor transfers. You told me the investor hasn't transferred at all. So which is it? Because you're telling my client that they owe you all this money, and if they don't give you this money, you're going to take their house. We've simply said, prove it. Not much to ask.
Right.
Prove it. And this is what they sent. Now, this is my favorite part. When we called and said, hey, what's this? You're missing 11 years. They said, it's because they didn't make a payment. Well, again, they didn't make a payment during this whole time, but you have records for this.
Right.
Also, you said it's the same investor, and I count at least 5 different transfers in your own records. We'll get you a supervisor. We've been waiting for a month for a super. By the way, you can't call a supervisor at SLS. You have to make an appointment. They call you back,
right?
Which they don't do. So what they do is the banks just kick the can down the road because here's the chief problem. In California, we're what's called a non-judicial state. That means foreclosures happen because the bank says, they put up the right hand and they say, we swear this is true. Mm-hmm. And the court goes, okay, and they sign off on it. Zero oversight. That's what the robo-signing scandal was about. So here is a bank that is going to take this home in Camden Country from this woman who's lived there for more than 20 years, one of our neighbors, who has done nothing but pay her mortgage payment the entire time, who got herself a loan modification, 14 years ago, which is why she thought this was gone. She got a letter saying it's no longer, you don't owe us any money, don't pay us. She got a letter that said don't pay us, so she didn't. Now here we are now, and she needs to get the money out of the house that she's earned, that she's built, so that she can survive her retirement, and she's being told by this bank that they're going to take it. And when we ask them, please explain these things to us, they refuse. They don't have that right. They have to tell you within 30 days of a qualified written request, they must tell you these things. There are other rules as well.
Okay, so what happens? Okay, so we're running out of time, so we have to wrap it up. Yep, but what happens if they don't? Like, you're saying by law they have to provide this information, but they're refusing. So then what's the next thing?
You hire an attorney because there's no police for this. There is no DA in the country that's going to take this case. Even
so
though
you
it's
have to hire an attorney. So let me interrupt. You have to hire an attorney, which will cost you more money that you don't even have to pay for this back payment.
Yep.
But you got a letter. You keep saying the person gets a letter saying, nope, don't pay us. We're done.
They got a letter 10, 15 years ago if they kept it. Most people don't. They just think one less thing to think about. This client happened to keep it, so we have the letter. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't mean that. It doesn't excuse you from the debt. What you will find out once you either talk to me or hire an attorney is that the debt is still owed.
Okay.
It is still due and payable. But here's how you fight it. You get this information. You go back to the bank and you say, guys, you got a problem here. Now, we have 2 ways of sorting this out. Either we can sort this out amongst ourselves, which we would all prefer, or we can go to court and let a judge sort it out. Because the judge is not going to be terribly happy, even though judges definitely prefer the banks, is not going to be terribly happy with an 11-year gap in your accounting that you must provide.
Right.
So it's not about my happiness as the accountant, but prove it. If you're going to take this woman's house, prove that you at least have the right to do it. At least have the courtesy to prove that the amount is owed. Don't just read it off a screen and tell us this is what is owed. That is wrong. It requires a second step. And the reason I wanted to bring it on the air today is because people don't know this. If you send the bank a qualified written request, which just means a letter, you do it by email as well, that says, give me this information, give me a copy of my note, give me the accounting, and most importantly, tell me who I'm paying, not just the servicer. Who owns this note? Who is the investor? They have to tell you. If they don't, it's a RESPA violation. It's a violation of a couple of other laws. But the way you use that is you say, guys, you've not given me what you have to tell me. This you must do this, otherwise we're going to court. That will soften their position and you'll get something out of it.
And this is who we contact.
Call me.
I think you can hear the passion in his voice. He's passionate about this. It's Richard Szerman with a Z, Sherman with a Z. Look him up, Radius Agent. He is the one to help. That phone number that you answer 24/7?
I do. You can call me on my personal cell phone. It's not an office, on my personal line, 661-714-1400. I just got another call. I was waiting in reception here. 661-714-1400. I get angry because they're taking this woman's house and it shouldn't happen.
I love it. No, I
Give me a call.
love the passion.
Give me a call.
Richard.
I'll help you.
And he'll help you. Absolutely. Thank you so much. We'll see you
thanks
next
for having
month.
me in.